Are some people born evil, or is it the circumstances they face that drive them to commit unspeakable acts? Today, we're diving into the disturbing topic of young kids who were sentenced to life in prison. These cases are shocking, heartbreaking, and serve as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of violent crime. So buckle up and get ready for a chilling ride as we delve into these tragic cases. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to never miss a moment of the action. Also, let us know in the comments section, what do you think about the decisions made by judges and juries in these cases? Number 5. Eric Smith. Eric Smith's case is a tragic reminder of the devastating impact of violent crime on families and communities. In 1993, Smith, a 13-year-old boy from small-town Savona, New York, committed a heinous act that shook the entire community. On August 2nd of that year, Smith lured 4-year-old Derek Roby into a wooded area, promising to show him a shortcut. Once they were alone, Smith strangled Derek and ended his life with rocks. The news of the brutal killing sent shockwaves through the town, and residents were left reeling in disbelief. Smith was tried as an adult and sentenced to 9 years to life in prison. He spent the next 28 years of his life behind bars, serving time for his crime. However, the question remained: had Smith truly changed during his time in prison? Were the parents of the murdered child right to question his rehabilitation? In one of their first extensive interviews since Smith's release, the parents of Derek Roby spoke with 48 Hours and CBS News chief investigative and senior national correspondent Jim Axelrod. The interview shed light on the parents' struggle to come to terms with their son's senseless death and their doubts about Smith's transformation. The case of Eric Smith is a stark reminder of the devastating impact of violent crime on families and communities. The tragic killing of a 4-year-old child at the hands of a 13-year-old boy is an unimaginable act of violence, and the repercussions of the crime will be felt for years to come. The question of whether Smith truly changed during his time in prison remains unanswered, and only time will tell if he has truly been rehabilitated.
I knew I had a problem with anger. I knew I do. I might be, just happy-go-lucky now, and someone get me mad.
Number 4. Russell Burrell. In July 2012, a botched robbery ended in tragedy when 3 people were slain in the Arbor Glen housing complex. Quandell Husband, who was just 16 at the time, was indicted as an adult for his role in the crime. While it was Russell Burrell, the admitted triggerman, who wielded the gun and shot the victims, Husband was still convicted and sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences plus 10 years behind bars. Burrell, who refused to implicate Husband during the trial, received a much harsher sentence of 4 consecutive life sentences plus 10 years in prison for being what the judge called a cold-blooded, pitiless slayer. The sentencing judge imposed a severe punishment reflecting the heinous nature of Burrell's crimes. Despite Burrell's reluctance to testify against Husband, the court still found him guilty and sentenced him to a punishment that reflected his actions. The sentencing highlights the importance of accountability and justice, particularly in the wake of such a senseless tragedy.
Day comes with the struggle of having to walk past his bedroom door. Another day that she'll pass without hearing his voice or seeing a smile that would light up a room.
Number 3. Austin Myers. In 2014, Austin Myers was convicted for the fatal knifing of his childhood friend, Justin Back, in a robbery gone wrong. Although it was Timothy Mosley who actually took Back's life, investigators stated that Myers instigated the crime. Myers was sentenced to death at the age of 21, making him the youngest person on death row when he entered the prison system. However, Myers filed a motion with the Ohio Supreme Court to delay his execution pending the resolution of his state appeals. His attorneys argued that his death sentence was unconstitutional due to his young age at the time of the crime, and that his mental health was not properly considered during his trial. In March 2021, a court ruling granted Myers the opportunity to present new evidence related to his mental health in his latest appeal. The evidence was not used in previous appeals and could potentially affect his sentencing. This delay in his execution offers hope for Myers and his legal team, who continue to fight for his life. The case of Austin Myers highlights the complexity of capital punishment and the importance of considering all aspects of a case before handing down such a severe sentence. The delay in his execution shows that the justice system is willing to review evidence and consider new information, which may ultimately result in a different outcome for Myers.
I would just hope that every time you close your eyes at night, you see my son Justin.
Number 2. Cameron Herron. In May 2018, Cameron Herron and John Burrell appeared to be racing along Bayshore Boulevard when they struck and killed a mother and her young daughter in Tampa, Florida. Herron was behind the wheel of a Ford Mustang that he had received as a gift for his recent high school graduation. Following a day-long sentencing hearing that featured emotional testimony from the victim's family members, Herron was sentenced to 24 years in prison, with 9 years for the mother and 15 years for the child. Despite his sentencing, Herron filed an appeal, raising the issue of whether the sentencing judge misused his discretion in applying the sentence. However, the appeal was ultimately unsuccessful, and Herron's sentence of 24 years in prison was upheld by the court. The tragic accident and its aftermath serve as a reminder of the dangers of reckless driving and the importance of taking responsibility for one's actions. Number 1. John R. Freeman. John R. Freeman Jr. was sentenced to 22 years to life in prison for taking the life of 5-year-old Isabel M. Tennant in her great-grandparents' Niagara Falls home in 2012. Freeman, who pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, expressed remorse during his sentencing, but prosecutors made it clear they hoped he would never be paroled. Deputy District Attorney Holly E. Sloma told the court that Freeman was calm, cool, and collected when questioned by Niagara Falls police, and spoke in cold detail about how he took the life of the defenseless 5-year-old girl with his bare hands. Freeman's defense attorney, Robert Viola, argued that his client had shown remorse for his actions and had taken responsibility by pleading guilty. However, Judge Murphy noted that Freeman's statements to police contradicted his claim of remorse. Isabella's father, Jeremy Tennant, addressed the court during the sentencing hearing, describing Freeman as a disgusting animal and stating that he hoped Freeman would never be released from prison. Tennant's statement was echoed by Isabella's great-grandfather, who spoke of the family's ongoing grief and the pain of losing a child. Freeman's case is just one example of the tragedy that can result when young people are sentenced to life in prison.
On September 5th, we're going to be working the story throughout the day and have the very latest coming up tonight at 5 and 6. In the newsroom, Luke Moretti, News 4.
While some argue that such sentences are necessary to ensure public safety and deter crime, others believe that they are disproportionately harsh, particularly for minors who may not fully understand the consequences of their actions. Regardless of one's stance on the issue, it is clear that cases like these are incredibly difficult for all involved. The families of the victims are left to grieve the loss of their loved ones, while the families of the perpetrators must come to terms with the fact that their child will likely spend the rest of their life behind bars. As a society, we must continue to grapple with the complexities of crime and punishment, seeking solutions that balance the need for justice with compassion and humanity. It is a difficult task, but one that is necessary if we are to build a more just and equitable world for all. That concludes our look at the 5 youngest killers who made headlines in recent years. These cases serve as a sobering reminder of the tragic consequences that can result from the actions of troubled youths. It is important to remember the victims and their families who have been forever impacted by these senseless acts of violence. Thank you for watching, and please remember to take care of yourself and those around you.